capacity of drone in the National Society since it was raised. We put so much efforts here in German Red Cross to advocate, promote the idea, and get the decision makers for the assessment. We always knew that we have the capacity, but we never mapped it out to know what exactly we have. And then the idea got approved. We put together, thanks to Dan, we put together a survey. We worked closely with Felix and Kai and many other people to develop it and translate it into German to fit the context. We did collect this information, we put it together, and today we want to present to you for the first time. This is the first time we have this information, and we want to share with you. Just quickly to mention that we have somebody who was greatly helping there, Caroline. She's not with us today. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it. But we want to just mention that she had great support for this. And also to mention some names here in this call that without them we couldn't do it. And starting from what I see, Felix, you could wave. Felix, this is our field expert, Kai. Kai, can you show your face? Wave, Kai. Here, this is Kai. And Timo. Timo, you show your face, you say hello. Without those people, we would never be able to do anything with this. And now I would hand over to Ben, our focal point for the topic in the international division, and he will walk you through like a 20 minutes presentation, more or less, and then we open for questions. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Hussam. Let me quickly introduce myself because I think I'm new in this round. I'm Ben, working as a manager for Search Digital Solutions in the German Red Cross headquarters, and I will walk you through this presentation quickly. So what we have planned for today is to give you like a 15-20 minutes input on our drone capacity assessment, and then we will open the floor for your questions, because I think it's much more interesting to see what you really want to know and not for me to talk a lot. So let me quickly start with the survey design. So how were we able to do this? And Hussam already briefly mentioned some things, but I wanted to show you a little bit more details about our research objectives. And basically there are two of them. One was to generate an overview of the number and type of drone technology at German Red Cross regional level, including the following aspect: was the quantification of the existing drones. So how many do we have? Which technical specification they have? Which skills do the volunteers and staff that operate the drone have? Are they certified for their work? And also, are they used regularly, or is it more like they are setting up it and not really using it in deployments yet? And the big other part was more looking on the domestic organizational level. So identify and mapping relevant contacts and focal points that are working in different levels there. No worries, I'm talking a lot about the domestic structure. We will just have a slide in a minute how it looks in GRC, because it's quite complicated, to be honest. But I just wanted to show you the key contents of the surveys, and we started with getting some information about the branch. I just put here some examples like the contact information, focal points, organizational level and stuff like this. Then we wanted to learn more about the people that operate the drones, so the volunteers and staff. How many are them? Are they trained? Are they experienced in different scenarios? Which technology and software is used, with some details? Are they experienced in like special scenarios like cargo freight delivery, using geodata, searching for people and stuff like this? And what are the key issues for future development of the drone models? Let me just give you 2 sentences how we managed to really get this to the ground. And this is really, we deep into the GRC structures and distributed to different channels, and opened a Kobo form and allowed people to enter it for their regional or local branch. But now let's jump to the results, and I would directly jump to the next slide and give you a quick overview about the federal structure of the German Red Cross. And on the highest level, under the national headquarters, we have our state branches. It's 19 of them. Maybe for some people of you that know Germany know that we only have 16 state federal states in Germany, it's a little bit historically that we have more state branches there. And under the state branches, we have like around 450 district branches, and under these district branches are around 4,000 local branches. In this survey, we mostly focused on the district branches, but also some local branches also responded that they have some capacity there. Also quite interesting, we have around 450,000 volunteers and 200,000 people working for the German Red Cross in all different kinds. It's from ambulance services to care for all elderly people, but also within the organizational structure of emergency response. And the key results of our survey is that we have okay, so let me put this in context. Around half of the branches responded to the survey. So we got a quite good overview, but please always keep this in mind if you look at these numbers. So all these numbers are at least for the total numbers, and for the percentage also please keep this in mind. So we identified 73 branches with drones, and they have in total 116 operational drones and 99 drones for training. Then also we have 902 people identified that are working or are involved in drone activities, and we have 634 people that are sufficiently trained. You see that there are more people involved than trained, and this is basically because most of them are volunteers, and they're like volunteering in, for example, the drone unit, and then later they get training, and then they are able to operate the drone. Before they're mostly supporting and working on trainings and stuff like this. 44% of them are involved in the local emergency response systems, so basically are alerted through the government emergency response channels. 44% of them are not involved, and 12% not responded to this question. And then we also asked if they're using transponder system, and 70% of them are not using them for identification and tracking. To look a little bit more in detail about these numbers, I just showed you here the distribution. So this is on, so let me quickly go back, then you can see it. That's on the state branch level. So the highest level that we have, the distribution is shown here. We not got a response from all state branches, and not all state branches were equally active in responding. But what we can see that we have 4 state branches that are really active in the drone topic, that also using the drones and having a lot of people trained, and also a lot of people involved there. And we have other state branches that are not so active in this area yet. So we can really see that we have some capacity, especially there, that we can also use in future. What is also interesting is how many people are in this operational drone unit, and 60% of them, so in total 44 of the 73 drone units, have between 10 and 20 members. And most of them, 42%, have 1 drone for trainings, and 53% have also 1 drone for operations. So most of them really have only 1 drone, and the size of an operational unit is between 10 and 20 people. So more than 1 drone, only 25% have for training, and 32% have for operations. So you really see that the most of them are really small, focusing on 1 drone with a quite low number of people involved. Then we can talk about certifications. I'm not sure how familiar you with this European certification levels. So I just stole a graphic from the DJI ProFlight Center here. So bear with me, that's maybe not the perfect one, but for the ones not familiar, I just wanted to enable you to quickly understand what we are talking about. But basically, regarding certification, so the A1, A3 level, we have like 79% of the pilots are trained, so this numbers are, or about the percentage is about the part of the operational units, so the drone units that have pilots certified. So for around 80% of them, all pilots are certified on the A1, A3 level. And for only 10%, most of them are certified, and only 7% of them, the operational units, have less than 50% of the pilots certified. For the A2 certification, and let's more focused on special operational cases, it's only that 15% of the operational units have all pilots certified. And you can see that here we have a lot less pilots certified in total. Okay, but what's quite interesting is also the total number. So you can see that we have 58 people identified that or units that are completely certified so that we can really use them. So, and now the most interesting question for me was, are these drones in use? And how often are they used? And we can estimate around 1,090 drone deployments per year. Here with us, I told you at the beginning, the response rate of around 50%. So probably it will be more, but I think it's even quite high number. And also if we see the distribution by operational unit, how often are they used? And here, what's quite interesting, we can see 30% are only used for trainings. Then they really 34%. So a third of them is very rarely used. So less than 1 time per month. Most of them, 33%, are used around 1 time per month, and only 10% of the drones are really regularly used. So you see it's a capacity that it's used, but not on daily use. Then we have this also asked for 6 special categories where we wanted to see if they have experience. And here you see the total number of the operational unit that have good or very good experience with these topics. And just keep in mind, we have 73 in total, and almost more than half of them are having experience with searching for people with drones. 31 have experience with multiple drones at the same time in the air. Also 28% have experience with presence of manned aircraft around their drone operating. 22% experience with wheelers. Only 22 units, sorry. Only 7 units have experience with processing geodata they captured with their drone. Well, I think it's quite interesting that they are not really using this capacity, but also quite nice to see that we have 4 operational units that have experience with cargo delivery via drones. Then what's interesting to see, which type of drones are we using in Germany in our domestic responses? And we can see around 90% of them are from DJI. So we really have a focus on one manufacturer here, and you also can see the distribution. A lot of them, so 40 drones, we have the Mavic 2, but also mixed up to more specified and professional grade models. But you can also estimate that the Mavic 2 people, for example, they're more using it for image capturing and stuff like this. If you're interested more in the distribution and the models used, we can definitely have a look into this later. But I will just continue here and show you which software is used. And for the mission planning, we also see most of them are using the DJI Flight Hub. If we keep in mind that we have 90% of drones coming from DJI, that's not really surprising. And also for the photogrammetry software, we have a lot of people using Drone Map or Web Open Drone Map 10 times. But you can see compared to the number of operational units, not a lot of them are really using the software yet. And I think there's a lot of room to improve. Also, some fun facts. What special drones did we identify that maybe we not really thought out at the beginning? And that's definitely the underwater drones used by our water rescue branches to identify people that drowned. We have also like a fixed wing drone for mapping, and also FPV drone for indoor debris search for only urban search and rescue activities. What are the next steps we are looking in? And we just split this into levels. It's for the domestic context, for the international context. For the domestic context, it's quite detailed because we identified a lot of leads we want to tackle. And that's mainly a need of standardization and training on operational procedures. then it's really important that we can really integrate them in civil protection and governmental emergency response structures. Of course, financing and funding is always a topic. What is also quite good that we really want to better network with other actors in the emergency response sector with using drones and coordinate them more. Also more aligned to legal regulations and simplify them to use them. And of course, professionalizing the drone use and really want to look more into certification. And for all of this on the national level, we are finishing in a working group now and with a steering committee on the level of the state branches, and we will have technical sub-working groups. And also next year, there will be a national drone conference hosted. For the international work, it looks a little bit not so much in detail yet, because at the moment we're really focusing on supporting the national drone working group and really develop standards there and then use the standards properly for international work. But at the same time, looking into the really deployment options of drones and maybe if they can also align with our emergency response units if there is a need, or is it what are other deployment options that we can that can be really interesting. Then we will look into the selection of suitable candidates for international deployments. So we know that we have a lot of people in our domestic branches that are trained on operating drones and really professional there. But for international delegates, they also need like the language skills, social skills, and also some experience probably. So we are looking in people that have, in the best case, mission experience with us that also are active in the domestic drone area, that we can really get people then. And of course, if all that's done, we want to integrate the drone as a GRC search response tool. And important for me here is to make the message that, like always in search, and I learned this in my last years with the German Red Cross, if there's a need, we can find a solution. I mean, we have a strong domestic capacities. And for example, in the Ukraine response on the pre-hospital emergency care part, we showed that we are quite good in facilitating this domestic capacities in an international response if it's needed. And basically that's it. Thank you very much. We walked quickly through it, and I think it's really interesting for all of us to hear your question and what's most interesting for you. If you're interested in how we did the survey, if you're interested to see our Kobo forms, how it went and stuff like this, just feel free to contact Hussam or me. We are really open to share and also give you some more insights how we managed to get through this really complicated German Red Cross structure to get some responses. And thank you very much. And now we'll just open the floor for questions, please.
What's been the most successful? What's been the most successful project you've done so far?
Oh, that's a great question, and I think a really political question to see what it's the question. But maybe Felix, you can give us a quick overview of your research project. I think it's one of the more outstanding ones, if you want to.
Yes, there one, but I'm not sure if the question is targeting in this direction. So yeah, we have some research projects. I can explain, but I'm not sure if this is answering your question. What kind of projects you were looking for?
Oh, what's relevant to you, research and otherwise, you know, on boots on the ground projects as well.
So I can explain some. So we're doing some research on drone applications. So for example, we are assessing if we can use drones for urgent transports between hospitals. We had some showcasing here, but it's more a regulatory problem. We had other projects where we just use different drones, larger drones for mapping for let's say larger disasters where we need more area covered than we usually can do with the usual copter drones. So that therefore you have seen on the slides, Ben has shown one of these VTOL drones, so a fixed wing drone. That's something we assess, and we have also even bigger ones, which we are currently assessing. And then we have other projects where we, for example, use AI to do some analysis of infrared images to search missing people in the field. So these are like a lot of different activities, but all targeting to make better use of the right drones for the right purpose.
Thank you.
I can distribute some details if that is desired.
Yes, that would
And
be lovely.
yeah, perfect. We can just add it to the slides we will share after the presentation. Also, I think what is quite interesting is like maybe you heard about this R Valley floods, one of the major disasters in the last years. Also, I think that we used some drones also in cooperation with a research partner to map there, and you really use this data to inform more emergency responders. I think this was the biggest application, I think, but don't want to highlight this too much because I think it's also really available this day-to-day operation, supporting emergency responses, giving a quick overview what is happening where, and also searching for people, for example, that are missed in forests and stuff like this. I think Joseph, you also had a question.
No, I was just going to say thank you for a terrific presentation, and then I was going to ask if there were any questions in the room, but we didn't need to force anybody to talk. People were ready. So, Brent, over to you, I think.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the last question that Jill started in terms of the most, I guess it was the most valuable, the most important use. I thought, Ben, one of your slides suggested people search was the most common or frequent skill set that the branches had, if I understood that particular slide. It surprised me a little bit. I would have thought mapping and photography and that sort of thing would have been more common, but it seems that there's a need, or there must be a need, if the local branches have on their own developed that capability. I don't know if you have any more insight on that.
Maybe I can just quickly give a little bit of background why the need is so high in Germany, because it's quite regular that, for example, elderly people or children are getting lost. And then a lot of emergency responders go there and looking for them. And in the past, it really was that like Red Cross, firefighters, and all the voluntary organizations pulled all their people together, and they just coordinatedly go through the forest and going through the land side and really looking for the person. And I think the impact with a drone to just look, okay, especially with a thermal camera, is so high that I think they're really used there because it's a use case everybody understands. You don't really need fancy software there. And I think that's the reason why it's used so often. And the need is there regularly without a major disaster. And mapping is probably more interesting if you really go into this disaster sites. But maybe also Felix and Kai, if you want to add from your experience, would be great. Or Timo, please.
Go ahead, Timo.
Yeah, just on a side note, I totally agree, or I can second what Ben said, but where we use on a domestic level drones for mapping purposes is mostly in combination with rescue dog or rescue dogs. And in Germany, a lot of the rescue dogs are not with the German Red Cross. Don't get me wrong, German Red Cross does have quite a number of rescue dogs as well, but a lot of times they are with the firefighting department as well, which then, and in that case, the drones will be handled by the firefighters as well, because they have it as part of their rescue dog unit, and that's the most applicable mapping instance or mapping scenario in Germany, actually.
Hi, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So so we have different responsibilities in Germany regarding people search. Yeah, the main aim of the police is to search people. Yeah, and the most I look to our state. Yeah, we have a direct contract with the police, and that is not, we are alerted by the police and not from the disaster side. Yeah, so if we go like to major fire or something, the drone unit is then alarmed by the disaster response center. Yeah, but for missing people, we are alerted directly from the police, and of course, this has something to do with money. Yeah, the use of a drone is quite cheaper in flight hours regarding helicopters. Yeah, so but of course, if a helicopter is available, you search, I don't know, a square hectare in with a helicopter in 5 minutes or something like that, and for a drone you have to use maybe 2 hours. Yeah, so there is a need. Yeah, and the police is they have also started 5 years ago here in Hesse to implement also drone units in the helicopter or in the professional side. Yeah, so but they more internally. Yeah, they are normally, the aim of them is also to search people, but I don't know, we have every day in only our state so many searches for missing people that they have not the capability to drive from a local site, I don't know, 3-4 hours. Yeah, so there is a need behind to be quick, and that's why drones will be very important. And also Ben mentioned it in the combination of biological search with the dogs, yeah, and also the technical search. That is a good combination, and I think that is a great a valuable achievement for the future. Yeah, how we can go forward as a Red Cross also to have our how I say area to play. Yeah, of course the fire departments they're very strong. Yeah, and also to implement drones. But what we see is that they mostly implement smaller drones for validating fires. Yeah, and I think in the future we have a mixture of, let's say, bigger units with enterprise drones, yeah, and also a lot of spreaded small drones, yeah, to also, if they come down, yeah, you have to burn, I don't know, €1,000, yeah, instead of that's good overview, like a Matrix 350, yeah, you burn then 10,000-15,000 euros. So there will be a lot of development, I think, for the future for the different topics to address. But yeah, that's my view on people search right now.
Thanks, Kai. And I think to really put it in context, in Germany, we are not affected by a lot of huge disasters in the last years. So just for the context, that's also why it's not so much used probably.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions, please.
Yep. There's a question in the chat from David. He's curious about the geographic distribution of people sufficiently trained nationally. He saw your breakdown per region, but he's unfamiliar with where those regions are. And was curious if you have any more insights into kind of if there's a trend about where people are trained in these.
Yes, I can try to summarize it a bit. I mean, the first one, this one is in the north of Germany. Then we have like this one is in the western of Germany, and they're both in the south. So it's not really that we have like all of the strong drone units are in the south and in the north are no resources. It's really more like on this organizational level of the state branches. And I mean, the German Red Cross is organized in the federal structure. So also the state branches are really strong for the domestic response, and they are leading the domestic emergency response. And I think that's also, just to keep in mind, why there's like if they're more interested in a topic, then probably they are pushing more for it than other ones. And also you see like if you have like a lot of firefighting units that are not run by volunteers, but more run by staff, then for example, also not a lot of people are working there. And one other thing, if we talk about regional distributions, it's just interesting to name. We also have some states in Germany that are only one city, and of course, often they have one drone unit, and then maybe 10 people can have a response capacity for this whole city. I think that's for Hamburg and Berlin, two of them. Good example that they only have one drone unit with some trained people, but they can also respond. Sorry that I can't really show you a map now about the distribution, but it's not really that it's a geographical thing. It's more really about the organizational distribution or structure.
Another question in the chat from James. Have drones been used in blood delivery?
I think there are some pilot projects at the moment with some straight branches. Not sure if they're really used in like an operational use. I think it's more on a research side, but maybe I'm also not totally up to date. Felix, please jump in.
So you're right. So there has been some studies, but it's not operational. I know that there are some hospitals who use drones to do some inner hospital transportation, but really like going longer distances. I think there's nothing beside these studies. To give you an example, I mentioned this transportation for emergency medication we did in one of the projects. So it was 40 minutes, 40 kilometers, good flight, but we took 1 year to get the allowance from the aviation authority. And that gives you maybe an idea what the main problem is in Germany to do any transportation.
Great, thank you. I was wondering if you might say a little bit more about how the German Red Cross handles risk management and insurance when it comes to drones.
I think it's a really good question, and I'm not sure, Kai or Felix, if you want to jump in for this.
Yes, I can. So, so the German blue light organizations, they're for the most part excluded from the EASA rules. So they need to do their own risk management. So they are responsible to do their own risk management inside each blue light organization. And there has been one. There are some recommendations. So it's a document which has been generated by a national group of first responders, and together with the the Federal Office for of Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance, so one of the ministries, and they developed guidelines how to operate drones within blue light organizations in Germany. And in there, it's also some recommendations how you do your risk management. So again, we do not invent everything from you. So most of the things come from the EASA regulations, but there's some like advices how to do it and or recommendations. And some of the first responders authorities have implemented these recommendations as like regulations in their own organization. So there you're not recommended to do it, but you are obliged to follow these instructions. But to be, and this is the case for Red Cross in Germany, but to be honest, there is some work to have a standardized method to really do it and inside in the mission. So I think this is, I can say from the state of Bavaria, even there it's not, we have not harmonized it overall our units so far. That's still something in process. So some have some software tools where they do some risk assessment ahead. Some have some own built paperwork where they do risk assessment. Some others not really do it. So that's something we really need to work on. So that's at least my understanding in our federal state.
Yes, and definitely that's also one of the needs that is identified. I think it's also part of the standardization need that was identified. One quick thing, Blue Knight organization are all the emergency response organizations. So Fire Brigade, Red Cross, other NGOs working in this area, and police.
Just then related to Dan's question, can I just ask, and again, maybe it's obvious to others, maybe not to me, there's a large number of people in the German Red Cross that obviously have skills, and it sounds like they're on their own at the branch level, had acquired the hardware and built up the skills. So this isn't that the drones themselves are not nationally purchased or controlled, it sounds like, correct? That's why there's so many different models being used, and you're recommending, or there's policies being recommended for risk management and training, but it sounds like because it was spontaneous, that it's somewhat diverse. Is that going on?
Yes, yeah, but I mean, I know that it's some kind of special for national Red Cross organization or a crescent organization. It's like we really have really strong branches. I mean, in the response system, the federal state is more. We not have a centralized, and it's more that the national headquarters in general is giving policy advices, but the real work and implementation stuff, this is really happening on the branch levels. And I think that's also a reason. It's mostly it's not a top-down thing in German Red Cross. It's more that it comes from the bottom. Then it's identified the need for standardization. What's also the case for the drones now, and now we're building this working group. But you see also the steering committees is from the state branches, right? They are the decision makers in this process, and the national headquarters is only supporting and facilitating this process, and they are politically really strong in German Red Cross. So it's not like, for example, in Portugal, that you have a really strong national level emergency response unit that is giving advices how to do things, develop for the branches. Just to keep in mind that that's sometimes why it's this bottom up. But of course, also there was not just missing or the need was identified in the branches and maybe not a national level at first. Kai, please jump in.
Yeah, to have a sample, when we started on a local level 5 years ago with the drones, there was no standard. Yeah, there was nothing in German Red Cross. Yeah, so so we looked to the existing. So you look then to the government requirements like the A1, A3, and A2. Yeah, that you work with the, let's say, some standards, yeah, but as Felix mentioned, they are not required for us, for the blue light organizations, yeah. So and this regulation Felix mentioned, that started, I think it was 3 years ago, yeah. So that's the first release that the German Red Cross adaptedly 100%. So this recommendation is now our guidance internally, and now the newer version, the ICRET 2. I shared this document in the past. Maybe some of you know this ICRET document where we have all the standardization in the Red Cross documented. And now, as a growing unit, Ben mentioned as well, yeah. They like mushrooms, yeah. Everywhere is growing a unit, yeah. So and you need now to define the standard, like the risk assessment, yeah. We do SORA since years, yeah. Some do, some others don't. But in the future, we have this standard that needs to deploy it, yeah. Like for Hesse, I can tell you, we're starting now. We released last week the official document for education, yeah, for our state, yeah, where we have now defined rules, what the people has to learn, yeah, if they are able to fly drones in the mission, yeah. That was not there before. So there was only recommendations, and the risk were by the local branches. Yeah, if they bring a drone up and something happens, yeah, they have to care about the problems that came with. Yeah, so but now it's growing and it's standardizing, and also this first the first collaboration for all states where we define where we want to go, what we want to standardize, and of course the big problem in Red Cross, we have so much information in local branches, but they are not shared. I think you know it as it's everywhere the same. Yeah. And now to start, everybody has to work on, I don't know, any checklists and so on. Yeah. But we need some standards that not everyone has to spend hours and hours and hours of documentation where other has it in their pockets. Yeah. So this is also a value that we hope to have out of this requirements that or this assessment we have done right now, and that was the base to have all the people. Yeah, and now we can start to work on the standards. Yeah.
Okay, any
Thanks for all
other
that
questions?
information.
All right, and to put it more in context, just imagine like finding or defining a standard in GRC internally is like if we want to agree on something in a movement. Always, it's a lot of coordination effort.
Yeah. I see a hand from James.
Please. Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I kind of saw on the chats, I see recommendations for operations for first responders. Is that also applied to Africa states? Because if you look at the geographical state or the boundaries, there are different laws being applied when it comes to the airwave system. So I don't know if there is any recommendations for drone operations when it comes to the RC societies in the African region. Because for here in Sierra Leone, we are trying to see how we incubate or introduce drone technology into blood donation, because these are the basic problem we are facing in our local areas, in our local provinces. People are struggling, hospitals are struggling to get drone from one distance to another. Reason being probably by the road network and all of this, but we believe by drone, we could save a lot of, especially pregnant women. These are the people that lost blood during their delivery time. So if we could see how we implement the drone technology in that area, we'll be able to lessen the effect. And also for disaster response, there has been a lot of disaster response, and that's I believe using drone technology like others national societies have been doing, there's going to be a huge turnaround. It's going to lessen also whatever effect or impact it might have doing when this disaster happens. But is there any recommended, because we are currently working on it and we want to see how we foster the process, to see how we could get more information from other national societies, the African national societies, any help we could need, any necessary information that could be helpful to us. Thank you.
And Dan, maybe you're more into answering this question. For me, just to offer, like, we can always connect you. Like, it's about blood delivery. We can always make the connection to our local branches that are having this experience with the research project, at least for the technical side. I think the regulatory side, it always depends on the country level. But I mean, of course, we can share this experience. I'm not sure if there's like for guidance level already then that you have worked on in the working group before.
Just very general items. It might be worth connecting with the folks at Kenya Red Cross who have gone through kind of that early incubation stage, and might have faced kind of a similar context as you would be facing. think Swabir is on the, shows us maybe being on the call. She's from that National Society. Might also just be her AI note bot. Are there any other questions? Jill, go ahead.
I think you're still muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Jill.
Oh, so sorry. Perhaps I usually do too much talking, so I shut the thing off to not talk. It's just my way. Sorry about that. I thought maybe for the young man that just asked for the question, asked for support, maybe there could be a working group having to do with the continent and in particular his country, and maybe brainstorming with other groups like the Italian Red Cross, the Spanish Red Cross, the German Red Cross, American Red Cross on best practices so that he gets a head start. And then do a localization one with the Kenya representative. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've got some thumbs up in the chat. So I think definitely lots of opportunity for learning and coordination and cross-pollination of ideas within the movement. Osam?
So one of our learnings, for example, is that I went back to Dan and we needed to develop this survey, for example. And we went to Dan to see what is developed so far. So he has great materials. He provided some good examples that we got inspired, and then we, based on that knowledge, we developed our own survey. Of course, it doesn't look like what we received. It's much different because of the context. But I think that was a very helpful for us to start with something. And I see the idea here, which is amazing. But I would always recommend a quick fix. If you have something, you could reach out to Dan. I know that he knows how to either provide something or put you in contact with somebody else. This is always available. And I don't know, there could be something more developed. But maybe Dan, he will never say it about himself, but I would say it about him. If there is something, go for Dan, he will fix it for you. Yeah.
It's on you, Dan.
Thanks for those kind words. Yeah, feel free to drop me an email with more details, and I can help try and figure something out.